Let's come to order. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and every blessing of life. And we particularly pause today to thank you for the veterans of America. We thank you for all that have served in all of our services, the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Marines, the Air Force, and the Merchant Marines. Lord, we pray that you would bless each and every one of these and help us to remember what they sacrificed for and the privilege and the honor that we have to be free today because of them. For in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Here.
Ms. Albrecht.
Here.
Mayor Bailey.
Here.
Mr. Wallace.
Here.
Mr. Putnam.
Here. Tonight is a very special night here in Mexico Beach, and it's a very special week for our nation. First, I would like to thank the poll workers who worked yesterday and did a tremendous job. You know, they served selflessly, and just did a great job getting all of our folks through the polls. Second, I'd like to thank the veterans of our city and the ones who are still serving in our neighbor right here at Tyndall. We are all a community together. Many of us are retired military, and we know the sacrifice that it takes. And to honor them ever since the end of World War I with this day on Friday is a very, very special thing. And I want everybody to stop and reflect what a wonderful thing the service to our country is and what it provides for us. I would be remiss not to say that I really enjoyed the election results last night. And I did take note that 3 out of 4 people in Mexico Beach voted for Mr. Trump for president, as well as all of our surrounding counties. I thought that was most interesting because the news media got it wrong. And I think it's going to be good. I appreciated what he said last night about us coming together as a nation and working together. And I certainly hope that's our direction for the next 4 years, and we don't have any more presidential elections for many years. Council.
I'd just like an update you on CDC happenings. There's the Thanksgiving Day Turkey Trot on November 24th. It's under the Palms Park. It will begin at 7 a.m. And you can contact aprilchilds@gmail.com if you're interested. Also, our Christmas tree lighting ceremony will be held at Sunset Park on December 4th. Watch the newspaper and the flyers for time for that. And again, Wiley is going to take care of the decorations, and he has it already planned out what he's going to do. Our first casino trip for this winter is going to be at Biloxi overnight on December 6th and 7th. If you're interested, please contact CDC. Thank you.
Yes. Citizens' comments. If you'd like to make a comment of any nature, you can come to the podium and tell us who you are and where you live. Please.
I'm Cammie Chappell, and I live at 404 Highway 98, Mexico Beach. And we are back and forth, as many people are here. And I am here on behalf, and I know you're going to think this is funny, of Mr. Bear and the garbage. If we don't have the garbage out, Mr. Bear will not bother us. You know, he will not come to tear into the garbage cans. So what I'm proposing, most of us leave, a lot of people here on Sunday evening, like they're weekenders. In our case, we're half the time here and half the time in Georgia. So I'm proposing having a place to take the garbage, like on a Sunday or other than garbage pickup time. And I love our garbage people. They're so sweet, so kind, so cooperative, and I can't say enough good about those men and women. But is there any way that we could have a place like over by the water department where we could, on off days, like if we're on the way out of town or even between Tuesday and Tuesday that y'all are doing now, that we could put the garbage? I'm asking.
Mr. Hall, would you like to address the question?
Anytime, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, anybody can bring their garbage up to the yard and dispose of it for free.
Yeah, we've done that.
And also, anytime, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, if you need another pickup, we can come pick it up as well. There's just a $10 charge per can.
Okay. What about when people are leaving, like on a Sunday afternoon? Is there any place that, without taking it home with us or leaving the garbage can in the house, that we'd be glad to do that? Now, I know my neighbors don't know because we came in last Saturday and there's garbage all over 4th Street. And we're 404, so I guess it would be 400 and 402 probably. Yeah, all over their backyard. And I know they don't know about the Tuesday only, and I haven't seen them to tell them, but somebody has left it out. But I know they would be more than happy to, on the way out of town, put it in a big dumpster or, something. And that
We don't have anything like that, no ma'am.
could you have something like that? It would sure help. Just some way, and I know anybody would love to do it to protect the bears. If we don't have garbage out for them to get into, then they won't be coming. I mean, they'll go someplace else.
In my opinion, we pick up the garbage on Monday and Tuesday.
Right.
Directly after when most vacation rentals turn and most weekenders go home.
But
And-
you can't leave the garbage out except on daylight Monday morning, or in my case, daylight Tuesday, because otherwise we have a visitation. So in other words, if we leave on Sunday, we cannot put the garbage out, because by Tuesday, the bear will come and take care of it for us.
I don't think the problem is the trash pickup. I think the problem is the bears.
Oh, no, we like the bears.
No, we don't like the bears.
We do! How many likes the bears?
No, we don't like the bears. I've actually had reports, 2 reports this week of people actually feeding the bears. And that's a $15,000 fine if you're caught doing it. Somebody that was feeding the bears have now turned the other direction and say, oh, I got a bear problem. They're trying to get in my patio door. And it's not far from where you're talking about. And they were the people feeding the bears. Gee, I understand. Same thing with your garbage. I get it. We have tried to put dumpsters historically through the city for multi-people use. And the reason that I'm not in favor of doing that again is because of the abuse of the privilege. The dumpster will be there, and the next thing we know when we go to pick it up, we've got chairs and mattresses and every conceivable auto parts and building supplies, everything thrown in that dumpster because some people just abuse the privilege.
Yeah, somebody's gonna abuse anything.
That's correct.
For sure.
It's just, I don't know why some people do that, but they do.
But I know the people at the city, water department, they've been very, very nice, because I have taken it up there, and they're very sweet and most gracious and all, but, during the week, which is, not bad. But, like when people are leaving, there's no place to put it except by the road or in the house, or take it with you.
Well, you're supposed to leave it beside or behind your house where the
Right,
garbage
but you
man come get
can't.
it.
Because of the bear. That's why my two neighbors, have it scattered, because they did not leave on garbage day.
And if the bears don't get it, we've got a real coyote problem.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Ladies,
Now, I
ladies,
haven't-
let's don't comment from the floor, please.
I haven't seen the coyote, so I didn't know, but I don't know, I just think the animals are very interesting, and I don't mind them, but if,
Oh, your comments, please. You can have a turn if you like. Any other council member like to comment?
any other recommendation? Because, I would be more than willing to,
And the obvious recommendations is if you would like to have a bear-proof container, they are commercially available to buy. We looked at it not 2 months ago for the city, and it wasn't realistic.
right. They're very, very, I think probably expensive, and the bears are very smart.
Well, these, the ones that FWC recommended were plastic and with screw-on lids. And the bears don't have thumbs, so they can't unscrew one. But that's the ones they recommended, but they were about $150 a piece.
Can they pick them up and tote them off?
They're 32-gallon cans. I don't know why they would, because they're sealed tight.
Right, but if they smell it, they're gonna take it with them, then you've lost it. So I don't know.
This is a regular size outdoor can.
Right.
It's not something they would necessarily take off.
Because they toted ours kind of down the street, put the lid one place, and this has been a long time ago, and I learned not to put it out, but if you could come up with something, that would be fantastic.
We'll certainly consider it.
I wish you would,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
But I'm not sure that's the right solution, a weekend dumpster. We have trouble with the recycle. For example, people just throwing things in the recycle bin and ruining the recycle program because of it.
Oh, no. Really?
If it's contaminated with cross waste, they
Ugh.
take it to the incinerator just like everything else.
That's terrible. Yeah.
It's a problem.
How much garbage do you typically have?
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Oh, there's only two of us, so not very much, so we could, unless we're here. Now, I used Tuesday, and I went and got my daughter and son-in-law's garbage and took theirs to the road early Tuesday morning, because they're only a block and a half. And Linda knows where they are. And we're all neighbors. But not a whole lot. I don't even have a can full usually. But-
my neighbor and I helped my neighbor build a container out of wood that stopped his problem, and it didn't cost $150.
Where is that?
That's on Arizona.
Okay.
We have bears, matter of fact, one was there this last week down the street, which they haven't done anything except a regular garbage can.
Right.
And that's probably a weekly thing there. So my neighbor and I built this container out of wood, and we attached it to the ground, and we've got a locking mechanism on it so the garbage people can easily undo it, and he just has one can a week because there's only two, and that's worked real well for him.
Okay. I might come by and take a peek.
Yeah, I'd be glad to show
See
you.
how so it's on Arizona.
Yep, yep.
Okay, because I don't want to cause a hardship on the people picking up the garbage.
No, because the same problem applies with my neighbor. He's back and forth from here to Georgia.
Yeah.
Like 30% and 50% of the people here are, seems like. But that took care of his problem.
Okay. Because even though, most people here are, shall we say, mature people, and we don't have to worry about much time where we are, so we're not necessarily going to Georgia. We can go to Timbuktu or
Right.
wherever, So if y'all can come up with it, or I'll come look and see if we can build it.
Yeah, talk to me after the meeting. We'll get together.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. I'll
Yeah.
ride my bike over.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'm Tim King, 504 Kathy Lane. The garbage is a problem. I live here full-time. I've never had garbage taken out of my can by animals, except when the next door neighbor used my garbage cans to put all their trash in. And so I was out there picking it up. I pick up trash on that street quite often. The garbage men do too. They shouldn't have to do that. And there are some of the people from Georgia that I've talked to, and from Alabama that I've talked to, and I've asked them, please don't set your garbage out, because the garbage scatters all over your neighbor's yard. And all I got was called some very, very nasty names. They're really nice people. And they're not gonna do anything. They're gonna put it out when they want.
Chuck?
Here's another change. Now, here just about 3 months ago, we had representatives here at a meeting with you when you first changed this garbage ordinance that represented the majority of people of Mexico Beach, and has been changing ever since. Now, why can't we go back to the garbage ordinance we had when we had a clean little town? We didn't have the bears going into our garbage can because it was being picked up kind of regular. Now, in addition to this changey, we keep going through. You've also increased our taxes, I understand, by about $90,000 for some truck to pick up our yard debris, as opposed to, why can't we go back to when we had it? Now, I know Mexico Beach is growing and has more people than it had 10 years ago, but it looks like you're looking at 20 years from now instead of today. I would appreciate it if you'd go back and reconsider our original garbage ordinance when everybody was happy. We did good. Even the men on the garbage truck that I talked to say that they're having a lot of trouble with this new schedule and all too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dina Frost, and my husband and I own Frost Pottery Garden, and I'm also here to talk about the sanitation. And I wanted to just speak to you about a couple of things having to do with it, and I'm assuming that the business pickup has gone back to twice a week. Is that correct? And it will not be an extra charge to us, correct?
Great.
Okay, the one thing that I don't understand is that our sanitation pickup, garbage pickup has gone to 1 day a week, but our bill is the same. I've heard things like the city is trying to do some cuts here and there, and I just feel like that our sanitation of the city is a poor place to do that. We talk all the time, and we talk in CDC meetings about having beautiful beaches, and I feel that our city needs to reflect the same thing. I know that for some people it's not as big a problem. My dad is 84 years old, and he probably doesn't make 1 can of trash a week. But I have 2 dogs, large dogs, that we walk, we pick up their poop, and now that has to stay at my house for a week. And I'm trying to be a good citizen by doing that, but it makes more of a fly problem. It makes a more unsanitary situation. We have friends that have children, and she now has to keep diapers for a week, and she has to keep them inside the house. They live right over here in the condos behind this building, and if you go upstairs on those steps and look back into the woods, you will see a clear trail of trash bags from where the bears come up there on a regular basis and just take the whole thing to the back. So they have to keep their trash in the house. They can't even put it up on the deck because they're afraid of the bears coming up there. We don't make half the trash in the winter at my house as we do in the summer, so I don't understand the rationale of this. If the problem is that it's not taking them as long in a day, or that they can put all the days into 2 days, why can't they go back to the regular schedule and then do this extra work that isn't sanitation pickup in the afternoons? Our sanitation guys have just been wonderful, and now they're very unhappy, and I don't see that as a good thing for our city. I wish you guys would reconsider if we need to cut the budget and if we need to save money, to save it in a different way. And if you're going to stick with this, then I think you need to give us our money back. I think we should only pay half of what we're paying now. I don't quite understand how you justify, we're going to give you half the service, but you continue to pay the same amount. And so I'd really like you to consider, as some of the other people here have, taken us back to a situation where everybody was happy and we didn't have as many problems. Thank you.
Anyone else, please? Yes, sir.
My name's Butch Alley, 106 20th Street, and I don't want to talk about garbage. Just want to let everybody know they're going to have like a community yard sale at the park on Beacon Hill, the 19th, which is 2 weeks from Saturday. And
Week from Saturday.
Week from Saturday, okay. It's free to set up, doesn't cost anything. Probably like from daylight to when everybody decides they want to go home. There's not a whole lot of rules or regulations with it. It's just first come, first serve. Mary Blackburn was the one that kind of put it together, and we've been talking back and forth. And anybody wanted to contact her, she can be contacted. But I just want to let everybody know so that they could get their junk together and sell it for free.
Yes, sir.
My name is John Sobolewski. I live at 116 Pine Street. I'm from Ohio. I drive 1,000 miles to come down here about 4 or 5 times a year. I noticed you had an ordinance for, I guess, raising giving a monthly water and sewer and garbage fee, even if we aren't here. And I'm not homesteaded in, which a lot of people are here, but I pay almost $3,000 a year just real estate taxes. And then every time I come down here, I pay a turn-on fee for my water, and I pay the monthly bill. But if you do this ordinance, it's probably going to cost me about another $600 a year. It's about $50 or $60 a month. And I don't know whether you can maybe grandfather some people in or what you can do, but you know, it's going to get pretty expensive for me because I'm on a fixed income like a lot of people are here. So I'd appreciate you consider, I don't know if you're going to adopt this ordinance 651 today or not, or what's going to happen, but you know, it's going to be pretty hard for me to pay $50 or $60 a month with everything else I pay here. But I appreciate the city of Mexico Beach. I love Mexico Beach, the way you take care of your beaches and you keep the animals off the beaches. I appreciate that. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Anyone else that might want to speak on an issue that's on the agenda, please hold your comment until that time. Yes, sir. We haven't had this many citizens' comments in a whole year.
Never failed, does it? My name's Ron Rakestraw. I have a rental property, 102 26th Street. I just have a question about ordinance about fences. And it says on that ordinance, number F, any fence shall be placed with the finished side facing outward from the property. Is that official? Okay. I was not aware that when they put the park fence in, I was at home, I had surgery. Nobody ever contacted me about the fence not facing my property. And the other thing is I had a privacy fence too, and I hate to say this, but I've been to the city office twice and I've asked for the city manager to call me and I've never had a call back. And I called Tom. There's a gap between my fence and a new fence, and the weeds grow up, and one end has a telephone pole and a telephone thing, and I can't even get in there. And Tom graciously said that they would take care of spraying the stuff out there. But my question is, why was I not asked or notified that they were going to do the fence if I wanted to join on to the fence? Nobody ever contacted me as a homeowner or a property owner about this. And the fence is beautiful, and I'm not complaining about that, but you didn't follow the ordinance. And if you don't follow the ordinance, I don't understand. I tried to contact the homeowners down that street, but most of them, there's 2 rentals, and the rest of them, most of the people live out of town. I can't even find them. They're way off somewhere. So that was my question, and I appreciate you offering to spray that, and we'll try to keep it clean, but I just wonder why it was done and nobody that had property there was contacted, but the renters were not contacted. So
I know the answer why you weren't contacted. The fence was constructed for the park on the city's property. There would have been no reason that we would contact a homeowner adjacent to our fence because it's on the city's property. That would
Okay.
be the same as any homeowner building a fence. You don't have to call your neighbor about it. As far as the way the fence is turned,
Yes, sir.
I agree with you. It's not according to what the ordinance says.
Yes.
There was a conscious administrative decision made to turn it the other way for the simple beauty of it to the park, keeping in mind that none of the homeowners that are enjoying the benefit of the fence had to pay for it.
Right.
So it was we gave ourselves an exception to policy.
Okay. Well, so what I'm saying then, if anybody wants to do a fence, anybody does a fence, if they do it that way, then they're okay, right? I mean, if they don't,
No, it's not okay. You got to have the permit, and you got to do it right.
okay, well, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to ask why, and again, I really would appreciate if somebody would have just contacted me, caused my privacy fence being there, saying, you know, if we're gonna put this fence here, as a courtesy to you, we'll take down your back fence and connect it, but without having that gap in between there, because, you know, you and I talking, but I appreciate you offering to help, and we'll keep it clean, but I just, you know, I was kind of disappointed in that.
Okay, thank you.
Were the homeowners, were they provided with a letter indicating that a fence would be going up when we were building the park?
We had meetings at the park,
Right,
and they were told the fence would be put up
Right.
because they had requested one.
okay. That's what I thought, so that they had the opportunity to learn about the potential fence. Okay.
I'm sorry, there was a meeting at the park?
Yes,
There was
sir.
something done at the park?
Yes, sir. There's a public meeting at the park.
I wasn't notified.
Everyone was sent a letter.
And I pay taxes.
Everybody on 26th Street got a letter about that meeting several months ago.
Okay, I'm just. And again, I'm sorry, but I never got a call back from the city, and I was really upset about that. I have to stand firm.
I think that was before we even started construction of the park. We had a meeting there just to talk about different things that we had hoped to have in the park, and the fence was mentioned during that open meeting. I can't remember. I know that 26th Street owners were given a letter.
There were
I
a
think
lot-
everybody was, weren't they?
There were a lot of 26th Street members there.
So.
There were.
So if there were renters, yes, they probably wouldn't have known about it. The homeowners would have been notified.
I own the property, and I did
Okay.
not receive anything. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry.
I did not receive it.
Okay.
Okay, let's move ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, the consent agenda consists of the minutes from several meetings over this past month, workshops, public hearings, and executive sessions, a little of everything. Are there any changes or amendments to the minutes? Motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Never mind. Call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes. I have the privilege of doing something that we don't do a whole lot of in Mexico Beach, and I'm really looking forward to it. We have three gentlemen here tonight who are all big into the veteran business. The first one is our own Lieutenant Colonel retired Captain Chuck Gilbert. You know, Chuck has been the mayor of Mexico Beach for several years, and I believe he's probably attended more city council meetings than Lisa Logan. And he is not afraid to kick his input into the city, and we actually appreciate him being here and being interested in what's going on in the city. We also appreciate his support of veterans in the city, giving folks jobs, helping them along their way, helping them find somewhere to live, and all that. Without further ado, Chuck, we want to give you the certificate of appreciation from the city council for a job well done. We look forward to many years working with you in the future. Thank you very much. The next fellow is somebody y'all probably don't know. He is one of my little tiny friends that I got to know just a few years ago. Mr. Joe Paul. Have you ever wondered who helps the veterans when they come home? When they're civilians again? Do you ever wonder what happens to those widows when veterans pass away? This is the man, right here. He is on the ready all the time to stand in and help veterans get jobs, make sure they get their benefits they're entitled to, and hold the hands of many elderly widows right here in Mexico Beach. Joe, we really appreciate you, brother, and we'd like to give you the certificate of appreciation. And last but not least, Mr. George Jury. Well, George, stand on this side so he can hear what I'm saying. You know, I got to relate this presentation to a fact of life. Everybody's heard the story about the chicken and the pig when he comes to having breakfast, right? Well, the chicken provides a contribution, but the pig provides a sacrifice. Now, George has to own the pig, but other than that, George has been behind the scenes for more than 9 years and contributed immensely. He won't tell me, but thousands of his own dollars. And not only that, he sacrificed so much of his time and ability to organize the Wounded Warrior Project in our area. He's a very modest man. He's a great businessman, but he's a real patriot. He really appreciates those guys and wants to know that we appreciate them too. And for more than 9 years, George is sponsored the Wounded Warrior Project, and we really appreciate him. George. That was a good part.
That's nice.
Rebel Rich won't be here this evening because our engineer's daughter is having surgery up in Tallahassee. Is there anything about the engineering letter that council would like to bring? We're on schedule with everything except the city hall. We're waiting on Duke Energy to get our utilities moved so we can break ground and get the city hall built. All right, moving on to our ordinances. The first ordinance is ordinance 655. This is a first reading, this ordinance. This has to do with an administrative change that we're making for golf carts. We have two ordinances that are conflicting. We have allowed golf carts on 15th Street, and we're going to continue to allow them on 15th Street. The ordinance that is in effect is fine, but we want to make that perfectly clear that they are allowed on 15th Street. Motion to read ordinance 655 by title only.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please read ordinance 655 by title only.
An ordinance amending ordinance 569, creating Article 7, Traffic Code, Chapter 70, golf carts in the Code of Ordinances, other actions performed by the City of Mexico Beach, severability, and effective date.
Mel, help me again with ordinance 656. I know it's a housekeeping ordinance.
Right, this is the one that amends Ordinance 308, which provided for the $2 fishing license, as well as the $25 charge for advertising signs for businesses on the edge of town, which no longer exists.
Right. Did everybody hear what he said? When we codified our ordinances about a year ago, there's several things we've got to clear up, and some of these things are no more than clearing up issues in our ordinances that are no longer effective. Motion to read ordinance 656 by title only.
So moved.
Second. Please read 656 by title only.
An ordinance amending ordinance 308, prescribing certain fees for services, other actions performed by the City of Mexico Beach, severability, and an effective date.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is ordinance 657. Again, this is housekeeping. We have an ordinance that's very long. We used to have a building contractor examination and mediation board, where the city would actually certify contractors to come to town and provide them a license of sorts. Hasn't been used in anybody's recent memory, and we're going to get it off the books. Motion to read ordinance 657 by title only.
So moved.
Second. Please read ordinance 657 by title only.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, repealing ordinance 450 and providing an effective date.
Okay, this next one, ordinance 658, is again a first reading. This is talking about the garbage. This is the thing we're talking about in this particular thing, though, is commercial garbage. It wasn't the council's intention, based on our previous discussion at workshops, to not pick up commercial garbage 2 times a week. But it got slipped in, it was not slipped in, it was just in the ordinance. I didn't read it close enough when I signed that ordinance. All we're really doing is doing 2 things. We're taking out the word "and businesses," and we're also, there's another section in this ordinance which will resolve the issue of people who cannot put their cans beside or behind their house. We are establishing a policy in this ordinance where if you cannot put your can beside or behind your house, then you can call City Hall and arrange for an appointment, and you will be put on, and your site will be inspected with you. And if the Public Works Director decides, or the code guy, whichever guy comes to your house that day, decides you need an alternate place to put your garbage, then you will go on a list of approved exceptions to the ordinance. Okay? That should take care of everybody in town that has a problem where to put their cans. And at the same time, everyone should have gotten their racks off the highways. That's the whole big meetings we had all summer long, was move your trash back off the road. Everybody should be moving their cans back. But if you're confused about that, our code officer would be going around and identifying those racks that are illegally placed, the ones that have garbage in them that the bears get in, so they can be moved back where they're supposed to be moved, into a more secure location. Motion to read ordinance 658 by title only.
So moved.
Second. Please read ordinance 658 by title only.
An ordinance amending ordinance 643 to provide for year-round garbage and trash collection for businesses 2 times per week, and location of trash cans, repealing any parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Okay. I would like to add another comment. This is not a change to the old garbage ordinance. Never changed it. It's the same words as it's always been. We're just adding some procedure. Ordinance 659. This is an amendment to our approved budget to buy a brush truck for the fire department and to add additional monies for some sewer lift station improvements. Motion to read ordinance 659 by title only.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Please read ordinance 659 by title only.
An ordinance amending ordinance 643 to provide for year-round I'm sorry, that is the wrong one. I will start again. Ordinance 659, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending the appropriation of funds of the budget for the fiscal year 2016 to 2017 for the purpose of providing funds for the general fund and sewer fund and providing an effective date.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 660 has a twist that's come into it since we published the agenda and everything else. This ordinance is the ordinance that we're adopting to prohibit food trailers in Mexico Beach, but it provided an exception or grandfather clause for two businesses in Mexico Beach, Mr. G's and Shoebies. Just this week, Mr. G's had to vacate the property that he was on because the owner made him leave. This ordinance says, if you're gone, your grandfather is gone. You can't go somewhere else. Mr. G's came to us and said, I want to move my thing somewhere else in town. In my opinion, that's like one of you saying, I want a food trailer and I want to move it down to 40th Street. And that's what this ordinance prohibits. So I'm asking the council, do we want to proceed with this ordinance like it is? Or do we want to revisit this ordinance in workshop to decide if Mr. G's is out of business, unless he goes into a permanent structure, or do we need to include that language in here? Because we did not consider what if he has to move somewhere else in town because he lost his lease. But to me, it's the same thing.
So do we need to rewrite this?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Are we going to read this ordinance as is, or are we going to reconsider it at workshop? If we leave it as is, Mr. G's is not going to be able to reestablish as a food trailer in Mexico Beach.
Well, I thought that was the whole intent of the ordinance to begin with, to keep others from coming in as food trailers.
That's correct. But grandfather, I hope everyone understands, grandfathering to be at one location does not mean grandfather that business to be anywhere in town they want to be.
I don't have a problem spending more time thinking about this. I would hate to see, I think Mr. G's offers a great flavor for the beach community. That's my personal opinion, and I understand that he's not grandfathered in once he loses his lease on the land to move someplace else. I understand how it was written, and if we go along with that, that's the way it is. But I would also hate to think that if he had an opportunity to go someplace else, that we wouldn't allow him to do that. Had he done this 3 months ago, and then this was written, he would be at the new location. And we'd probably say, he's grandfathered in. So that's just my feeling. As one of 5, I have no problem rethinking this. I also don't want a street full of food trailers either. So.
And we need to at least get a consensus whether to proceed or not. I need everybody to weigh in.
If we read this second reading, would that put this ordinance in place?
Yes. But this is not a second reading.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is first reading.
That's the first reading.
I was
That's why
looking
we have an
down,
opportunity to go
opposite
back.
the bell, I was looking down the line.
We have an opportunity to go back and change this.
The ordinance isn't actually in place yet. If
No.
it's not, if he moved to the other place, would we be able to stop that? I mean, in reality, in other words, can we say he can't because this ordinance is not in effect?
In that case, he would
If
be...
it was last week, 2 weeks ago.
but he would be excluded by the moratorium that we have on food trailers.
True.
I'd rather revisit it. I need to think about that a little bit. I mean, I like the food at Mr. G's. I'd like for him to stay around. And you hate to see somebody that's in business just because he got asked to move, be put out of business.
Okay, well, I can break this tie. I would like to continue discussion on this food trailer ordinance and not bring it up for a first reading by consent. Okay, second reading of the water sewer base rates. And the major thing about this is what you were alluding to a while ago. It's a base rate for all inactive sewer customers. I know you're not here all the time, so people don't get all this information all the time. But for years and years and years, we started our sewer project in '99, and we recently upgraded the water in 2015. And each of those have debt service to pay back. And that debt service is divided among all the people in town that have water and sewer availability. We've never charged people who cut on and cut off a base charge in the past. So they're not paying their portion of the debt service for our water and sewer service in Mexico Beach. How much money does that, are we talking about? We're talking about just the number of people that cut off and go home. It costs the city about $100,000 a year, and that amount is borne by the citizens who live here full time. And yes, it would cost a homeowner such as we've heard from tonight about $600 a year, because the debt service alone is about between $50 and $60 a month. So the question came to us, and we've talked about this at many, many workshops, and we've seen that general input from the public has been very positive, that everybody needs to pay at least the debt service. Of course, your water and sewer bill is about $110. You're not charging for water usage, sewer usage, or garbage pickup during the cutoff period. But this is the first time ever that we're actually going to charge a base rate to cover the debt service, which we feel is fair. Before we do a second reading on this, is there any comment from the table? Is there any further comment from the floor? Sir?
Tim King, Kathy Lane. A question though, if a person like that from out of town and they shut their water off, they're going to be charged to this flat rate, correct? Okay. Then when they come back into town to have it turned back on, are they still going to be charged a turn-on fee?
Yes.
Reconnect? Okay.
It's very small, but yes.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. Thank you.
What would that fee be? It's very small. Talking about $40 again?
25, 30 bucks, something like that.
I don't remember the number right offhand, but I was going through the stack. Seems like it's 15 out.
No, it's
15
40
out.
right now. 40 right now.
40.
So if you're going to enact this other legislation, you're going to knock that 40 off?
No, sir, that's the service charge for sending somebody out special to the property.
Well, they don't send them out on a weekend. They send them out during their working hours. Now, if I come in on a Saturday or Sunday, I would expect you to charge me a good bit, because you'd have to call somebody in and come out and turn on my water. But if the water people are working during the week, I don't see why, since you're going to charge me $50 a month anyway, why would you charge me $40 to turn it back on?
Because it is a charge outside of normal service, where we have to dedicate city employees' time to go do that.
If it's outside of normal service, that'd be Saturday or Sunday. That's my opinion. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is George Gill, and I own property at 124th Street. Also have a contiguous piece of property at 122 4th Street that has a mobile home sitting on it that has been vacant and empty for over 2 years now, and it's strictly a storage shed. However, years prior, it was a residence, so it has water and sewage hookup. Now, it's never going to have water and sewer used again under my name. So I'm sort of wondering if there's going to be any kind of a waiver or an exception clause for situations like that, where in the past there was water sewer hookup. Ain't going to happen again. And I just can't see paying $50 or $60 a month for a storage shed.
You want me to answer the question? I have an answer.
Okay.
Your situation with your residents sitting there on the property is exactly the same as any other residence in town where there's nobody there using water and sewer. The obvious answer is remove the residents and you wouldn't have a charge.
But it serves a purpose for me.
I realize that. A storage shed, you would not be paying water and sewer because there's no residents there. By the way, this doesn't apply to vacant lots.
Okay, let me go one step further then, help me understand. I pay a water bill every month, like you said, $110, and that's for a service. Now you want me to pay $50 or $60 a month for no service?
You pay $110 a month for debt service and service.
Okay, I don't understand the debt service.
We had to borrow $5 million as a city to put in the water and sewer.
Okay.
And that debt is divided amongst all the residences in town.
Okay.
And that's what everybody has not been paying. There's another mobile home in your neighborhood that they haven't had power to it in 15 years. But the water and sewer is still connected. And over the last 15 years, though, they haven't paid any of the tax or the money for the loans, have paid back the loans. It was an oversight years ago, or at least we feel like it was an oversight years ago. I've just never heard anybody bring it up.
So the $5 million debt, at some point, maybe not in my lifetime, but at some point be paid off and this will all be moot.
About 30 years.
Okay. And in the 30 years, there won't be this debt charge. It's kind of like paying a toll on a bridge that costs millions of dollars, but that toll never goes away.
It never goes away because in 30 years, we're going to have to put down some new sewer pipes.
Okay, so
You understand, I agree with you.
So the solution for me is to move the mobile home out.
Yes.
Even though there'll still be sewer hookup there. There'll still be water lines running to that property. There just won't be a residence on there.
They won't be usable. So we don't charge tax
Well, I
on any
mean,
lots.
they're not usable now because they're cut off. They're shut off. I mean, I can't use the water or the sewer on that property right now.
You could if you cut it back on.
And you charge me to have it turned back on.
Yeah.
And then I'd pay the $110. I don't know, it just doesn't sound right that you're asking everybody to, well, not everybody, but people in my situation to pay a service for non-use. I mean,
Let me make sure you understand. We're not asking you to pay service. We're only requesting that you pay the debt charges on that property.
So when I get my bill, it'll say debt charge and not water bill.
It'll say base charge is what it's going to say.
Okay.
And the base charge is the debt service.
And hypothetically, if I don't pay my water bill at 124th Street, I don't have any garbage pickup, you'll cut my water off, and I won't have any sewer access. What happens if I don't pay my $60, hypothetically, at 122 4th Street, where my shed is now that I call it, although it used to be a livable mobile home.
We can make a special assessment and put it on your property tax bill.
Okay. All righty then. Thank you.
Any other comments before we move forward with this? Yes, sir.
Mal Cathy, I live at 140 Palm Street, and as a customer of the city, it is difficult for me to understand the rate structures that you're imposing on us and the new policies that are going to generate the amount of money. Could you expand on why you need this much money? I mean, and I'm getting as an example. Last year, you took our sanitation rate up 18% and you cut the service. Now you're proposing to raise the sewer rate 8 cents per thousand, water 4 cents per thousand, and impose a $56 a month for inactive customers. That's going to generate a lot of revenue. Why do we need that? Why do we need that much money?
We need that revenue to keep the overall price of water service down.
Okay, well then let me share with you something, because I'm not following this. I did a review of the budgets for all of the funds, the sanitation fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund. And I looked at the last 2 years, meaning 15-16 budget, which we just completed, and the current budget that we just started. And if you look at the line item that says total personnel cost, and you compare the past 2 budgets that I just described to the 2015 budget, here's what you find. Water Department, in that 2-year period, has increased $30,956. That's a 17% increase in expenses for personnel. Sewer Department has increased in 2 years $90,571, 64% for total personnel cost. Sanitation, $126,699. In a 2-year period, on that one line item, 41% increase in expenses. If you total that up, folks, that's $250,000 that you've increased the 3 departments, water, sewer, and sanitation. And so yet you say there's nothing changed. Something's changed. In 2 years that those three funds have increased $250,000. No wonder the rates that we had won't cover those. Something's not right. Could someone explain those increases?
Yes, sir, sure can. 2 years ago, when we adopted one of those budgets you're talking about, was the first time that I know of that personnel costs from administrative departments and other departments were allocated against the enterprise funds. You were mayor for 10 years, so I know that you always took the administrative out of the general fund.
That's correct.
2 years ago, that process changed. Those increases you're talking about are not salary increases other than the 3% we did in the last couple of years. What you're seeing is the share of the administrator's salary, the clerk's salaries, the building department salaries, the city clerk salaries that are allocated to the enterprise funds for the percentage of time they do their work in the enterprise funds.
Okay. Well, so those are unmandated changes. There's no audit that said you should have done this. This was just the table decided that we should do this.
That's correct.
Well, as a customer, when you make an unmandated change like this and you come to us with these types of increases and these types of policy changes, you want us to open our wallets to pay for decisions you made that don't affect the service we get one iota. In fact, we pay more, get less, and we're just supposed to pay you and smile about that. Well, I'm sorry, I don't think we should do that. We're customers. For more than 15 years, this city council had sat at that table and always said, what is the best deal for the best price for the customer? We don't care that 20% of somebody's salary administers a certain length of time, or that somebody in the road department works in the sanitation department 13% of his day. That doesn't change the service we get. And for all those years that the procedures of the departments in terms of how they were paid was based on how can the little city of Mexico Beach give our customers the best deal for the best price. And now you have taken an unmandated change and you come to us with wanting our wallets to fix what was never a problem. It's just, you just decided we needed to do that. Now, I don't know who did that. I don't want to look at this table and say, I don't know what the vote was. I don't know who sat there when that was done. I don't know that. But it is extremely unfair to us as customers to expect us to accept these changes when our service is zero better. It's worse. The way that was done was that it was all hands on board. Whatever tasks needed to be done got done, because we're a small city with a small workforce, and there was no need to start breaking up who did what in what department. Why? Because the customer didn't benefit from that. And to further illustrate, before I sit down, I just want to share the general fund must have received additional funds if they stopped paying for $250,000 in salaries. I mean, that would be just a general, you would assume that the general fund benefited in dollars from not paying that. Well, so therefore you could also assume that the ad valorem tax might go down if the general fund was keeping this money that they were no longer paying. It had been transferred over to these departments. Well, I did an analysis of the last 2 years of the ad valorem tax rate. And in the last 2 years, the city has received a $20 million increase in assessed value for our city. And today we have the highest ad valorem tax rate we've had in 5 years. Something's wrong, people. You should not come to us as customers and expect us to pay for decisions that you decided, you government decided, were what we should do. And I just think that's a smoke and mirrors game. You haven't been upfront, and if you want a laid-in cost, you ought to give us a laid-in rate and stop fooling around with these charge people as an inactive meter so they don't get a service, or raise the rate, because it's just not, we don't need to do that. The customer benefits zero from that.
I don't care to comment.
Somebody does.
I'm Desiree Bonar. I live on St. Francis. I've been gone for 2 years, and I can see a lot has taken place in that time. You said that the charging of services that we won't be receiving for those of us who
Excuse
are...
me, can you use the mic?
I'm sorry. Okay, you said that the $50-something that you would like to charge for people who turn off their water would be to pay off the debt, because it's not fair for those of us who have our water on year-round to pay all that. So my question is, if we are going to charge people for a service that they're not receiving, which I'm with Mr. Cathy, I don't see why you would possibly want to do that, does that mean that our rates are going to go down? It doesn't work that way usually, does it? You said that those of us who are paying year-round and not turning off our water, it's $110 a month, we are the ones having to pay off the debt because those who don't have service are not putting any money into, okay? So if you were to pass that and they were paying the $53 a month, then would you be reducing our rate, the $110?
You're asking me to foresee in the future what water and sewer service will cost us?
No, I'm asking you, you said that we are paying, those of us who are paying every month, it's like a burden on us. So if you're going to be getting half of what we pay, which is a huge amount of money every month, in order to keep our rates down, does that mean, well, at the same time, you're actually going to be charging that few more cents for the water and a few more cents for the sewer, the 8 cents and the 4 cents, I believe. So you want to not only increase us, but you want to charge people who aren't getting service $53 a month. So and you don't have to answer, but that's just something to think about, that if you're trying to keep our costs down to where we're not paying off all the debt, then I would think if you're going to be paying people for a service that they're not receiving, that you might want to take some of ours off. So anyway, just a thought. And I don't agree that people that aren't receiving a service should be paying for something that they're not receiving. So.
Please hold your applause. Okay? This is not a free-for-all or a campaign rally. Listen, I wish Adrian was here because Adrian's my numbers guy. But I can tell you this. We're only talking about 200 customers that are affected by this ordinance. We're not talking about everybody in town. We're talking about 200 people. But when you add up that $50 times $20 times 20 people every month for many months a year, it comes out to about $100,000 shortfall of what we could be paying on the debt service. I didn't cause any of this debt service. Politics of the before me caused this debt service. And it was because we needed water and sewer service improvements. And we got grants and we got loans. But unfortunately, we have to pay it back. It's just simple mathematics. It's simple economics. You can't borrow money and not pay it back. And the 2,000 people that are in this city that have water and sewer, the 200 that take advantage of the system by cutting off, and you have to look at it one way or the other. They're either taking advantage by and not paying, or every which way you want to look at it. But the majority of the people we've talked about in many meetings before this one, everybody in the room was like, why in the world aren't they paying their share? If they have a house here and they have water and sewer hookups, why aren't they at least paying the debt service? Why am I having to have increased rates to pay their debt service? Now I think I'll back up and regroup part of Mayor Cathy's comments. Look at your water and sewer rates over the last 2 or 3 years. And look where they've gone. Are they the same? Did it go up $1 or $2? You do realize we're retail customers of Bay County. A penny's increase on water and penny's increase on sewer is what they charged us. We got to buy it from them. We're not looking for any more profit. It's what we're having to buy from them. And we're fixing to look at now adding 77,000 gallons more, 150,000 gallons more sewer allocation. It's going to cost us another $77,000 a year to do that because we've reached our 80% saturation point and we've got to add some more sewer capacity. And guess who gets to pay for that? It goes all to, it does go to impact fees for new people coming on that'll help us pay for that. But at the same time, If we buy that allocation in December, which they want us to do, and nobody bills anything, we have to pay that debt. If we don't have any impact funds coming in to help us, we have to pay that debt. It's exactly the same thing with systems we already got installed, that we already pay debt for, but everybody that has a home here needs to pay a fair share, in my opinion. Any other council member have a comment?
I'm sorry, I just can't sit there. With due respect, the debt service is not the issue. It's the change in the accounting practices that you chose to do is where the problem is. There's always been debt service on the water plant. When we built that new water plant, we got a grant for half of it, a $5 million. So it's not a $5 million, we got it free. We got half of that free. When we did the rate study, there was no need to do an increase in anything for that $5 million water plant. So the debt service has always been part of the bill since there's been a city as far as a water plant. The issue is, and I wish someone would just say it, you changed the accounting practices that had been in place for over 15 years and you added that expense to those accounts. That's where the problem is.
I don't remember the nitty-gritty. I do remember when it was changed, and I wish Adrian were here because he would know backwards and forwards, but I thought that it had to do with the audit company. When we have the audit company we had a couple years ago, I think that was the recommendation for a reason. Now, Al, I don't remember what the actual reason was. Adrian would remember that. And so I don't think that it was just the council's idea to do that. I think that it was an idea from the auditor. I might be wrong, but I'll check on that too.
Why wouldn't you then table the second reading until you find that out? Because if it's unmandated, you could change it back. Is my point. And for 15 years, the city's had audits, and there's never been one finding recorded in City Hall where what the procedures that were being used were wrong. Not one audit in 15 years said there was anything wrong with the way it was being done.
Mr. Cathy was correct. It wasn't a mandate from the auditors to make this change. It was a suggestion because the utilities were getting the benefit of some hours of production that they weren't paying for. So it was appropriate to have the utilities start paying for that. At that point, when it was mentioned all these personnel costs going up 100-some-odd,000%, they failed to mention the departments that it went down in, the like amount. The only increase was a 3% increase in wages each of the last 2 years. The millage rate in the first year, as mentioned, held steady. This last year it went up because of the $90,000 estimate for the yard pickup. And as we go forward, it's a standard utility issue that when you provide service to an area, those lots should pay something for that. And in this particular manner, for people who pay $110 a month, you're not going to see anything but just a change on the body of your bill. You're not going to pay any more or less than you did before. It's just how it's accounted for. And without question, the people who turn the water off and on during the year, they're the people who will have to pay more at this point. So those people should pay for the pipes that are in the ground.
For those of you who haven't been coming to meetings too, we didn't just take this issue lightly. We actually had the Water Board, the Northwest Florida Water Board, do a rate study for us. Their recommendations were that we raise rates tremendously. And this council said, we ain't doing that. We're not going to do it. But if we had adopted their rate schedule, you would have seen for the same 4,000 gallons, you would have seen about a $15 increase for the same amount of water. and we didn't feel like their study was accurate, and we did not adopt that. So instead, we tried to figure out how can we do better, and that's where this came from. But again, if you're one of the 200, I certainly see your point. I really do.
Well, the only thing, sir, I don't mind paying my fair share, because I don't want everybody else in the city paying.
Sir,
what I have to
please address us, okay?
Okay, I don't mind paying for my fair share because everyone else has to pay, okay? But if you're gonna charge me $50 or $60 a month for the debt service and not getting any water or sewer, and then I come down here and during the week, during the day, and I call the city and talk to that lady over there, and I ask her to turn the water on, and she wants $40, I don't think I should have to pay the $40 because it's during the day, and you have water people that are out there driving around, and the city's only, what, 4 miles long, 5 miles long? We're not talking about Austin, Texas, or Cincinnati, Ohio. We're just talking about a little city. So, if you can give me a little relief and knock the $40 off every time I come down, I guess I'll have to be forced to pay the $50 or $60 a month and just take it out of my little checking account. Thank you.
Thank you.
Most customers, Your Honor, also have their own shut-off valve that they can control without contacting the city, and that's the way it is universally. One other,
I've never turned my water on and off. I've always called the city because people have told me that I can't turn my water on and off anytime I want to. So if you're going to give me permission to turn the water on and not charge me the $40, I'd go with that.
but it wouldn't be at the meter, you'd have your own valve somewhere else.
Well, I have another valve. But how is the city going to know when I turn my water on and off?
When you use water?
Okay. Or I should call the city and tell them I'm in town and they can read
You
the
don't have
water
to call.
meter? How do they read the water meters now?
We have a gizmo that reads it.
That drives down the road? Okay. So, I'm allowed to turn my water on and off with my shut off.
Not at the meter, but at your own shut-off.
So they're gonna leave it on at my meter all the time now?
Sure.
Okay.
I-
Thank you.
This is pure personal, but
Your comments, please.
this is pure personal, but would recommend, because there could be potential mistakes, that if you are leaving town and you turn your water off, give a courtesy call. I think would be a good idea. I know it's not required.
I hadn't had the water turned on for 2 months, and then I got a bill for like $250. So I called the city of Mexico Beach, and I says, well, do you want me to pay this bill? And they said, well, yeah, you used water. I said, well, I haven't used any water. She said, well, somebody turned your water on and used it. And I said, well, I don't think so. Why don't you go back and read it? So they sent somebody back there and read it, and they made a mistake. So that's the problem I have. I think it would be better if I called and told Sherry that I'm in town, I'm going to be using water. When you agree that would be a better idea? Yes or no?
Other comments? Motion to read ordinance 651 by title only.
So moved.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 625, adjusting the current rates to be charged for the use of the municipal water sewer system for service inside and outside the city limits of Mexico Beach, allowing for a senior citizen discount and vacant lot rates, repealing ordinances and/or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, and providing an effective date.
I have a motion to adopt ordinance 651, or any other motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Please call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yeah.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes.
Department reports. Captain?
In lieu of Police Chief Anthony Kelly being here, I just want to touch on a couple of subjects. This month alone, we've had over 300 calls for service. Most of them have been routine calls. The highlights of those, which are outstanding, we've got 10 theft reports in the city, 7 of which have been closed with either arrests or we found the stuff. There's been 36 traffic stops. During the month of October, there was a drowning in conjunction with Tyndall Air Force Base. Our ESU and officers spotted out there in conjunction with Tyndall, but we didn't get there in time. There's been 6 accidents in the city. Almost all of them have been a result of improper backing. One was a DUI that resulted in an injury and an arrest. It should be noted, I don't know if Chief Kelly put it out, but the department did go through bear hazing training on the 3rd. It was completed. If you've got bear issues and you see one, we've got the ability to go out. We've got a shotgun with some beanbag rounds, and we'll pop them once or twice and send them running. The other things we've got are a couple of paintball guns with some anti-bear repellents in there. There's one that Mayor Bailey alluded to down by the 386 First Street area. FWC is really aware of that one, and they're intending to take action to remove it on a permanent basis. It's become acclimatized to human habits so much that it's depending on trying to get into people's houses for food. So when it becomes what they call humanized, it's no longer able to care for itself out in the wild. So we've had a couple of calls this week with scams consuming Duke Energy. Somebody will pose as somebody trying to collect a bill for Duke Energy. Say you owe money for that, you need to give them a credit card number or a gift card number and mail it to them. The other one is the jewelry postcards that you've seen on the news. They'll say you owe or you want jewelry. All you have to do is give them a credit card number, social security card number, and they'll send you the money for the jewelry. They're both fake. If you get one of them, please let us know. Okay. I've got nothing else.
Questions? Kevin? For those who don't know, the chief is ill, and he should be back to work shortly. He's going to be discharged from the hospital tonight, or maybe tomorrow. Mr. Hall.
Mayor, nothing really out of the ordinary. The main thing I'd like to touch on is on the 28th last month. We don't know exactly what happened, but the PLC went down at the water plant that evening after everybody done went home. But because of the system that we installed a few months back, we were able to get it back online remotely, and everything went fine. But beyond that, nothing out of the ordinary. Actually, a pretty nice month.
Okay, can you give us an update on the dredge work for December?
December 5th, me and Mr. Chuck's gonna meet tomorrow about getting it pulled over there. December 5th, it will be taken out of town. We're looking at a 3-week window of downtime. If it's one thing I know, downtime and windows don't really mix, and they don't last. Hopefully that won't be the case here, or if it is, it won't be too god-awful long. But the 5th is when it leaves, and we should get it back by the end of December.
Okay, reiterating, anybody that's got big boats going and coming out of the canal the last 3 weeks of December, our dredge is going to be out for annual maintenance. Make it, and pass the word around if you know anybody that's got big boats that run in and out. Go ahead.
We have been dredging, well, we've been trying to dredge. The guys made it to the west side today and started eating into the hill. We didn't dredge, but a couple days last week, our push boat started taking on water. We had to pull it out and figure what was going on. We wound up finding 13 holes below the water line, but it's patched now, and the guys are dredging. They were out all day today. You'll see them again tomorrow. But we are on the west side, and we are eating into that west sandbank.
Okay. Questions? Do you have anything from Adrian? Okay. Mel.
Just his report that he had provided. The most important thing of note is that the Leave No Trace ballot referendum will be scheduled for sometime in February 2017. The formal request was given this past week.
Okay. Are there any announcements?
I just want to remind everybody that Farmers Market is this Saturday at the Sunset Park, beginning at 9 a.m.
Others? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So,
Thank you.
Sorry, Mayor.